Here we will tell you the contents of Nobunaga Demon King Volume 1, and the inside story behind its writing. Fans of Shogun will discover the pivotal era that preceded it. This novel unveils the story of Oda Nobunaga, the revolutionary warlord whose audacious campaigns and radical vision began to end centuries of civil war. While Tokugawa Ieyasu, the inspiration for Shogun's Toranaga, would ultimately establish lasting peace, Nobunaga's groundwork was indispensable. Delve into the tumultuous rise of the man who dared to dream of a unified Japan, setting the stage for the shogunate to come. Unlock the untold story of a legend in the making. Before Oda Nobunaga became the fearsome demon king who sought to unify a nation consumed by chaos, he was Kaposhi, a young boy wrestling with a tumultuous destiny in the heart of Sengoku period Japan. This sweeping historical epic, Nobunaga, Demon King of Volume 1, plunges you into the turbulent early years of one of Japanese history's most iconic and controversial figures. Forget the Nobunaga you think you know. Journey back to a time when the Fool of Owari was not yet a unifier, but a youth navigating a treacherous world of samurai politics, intricate power struggles, and deeply personal trials that would forge him into the warlord history remembers. The late Sengoku period, a fractured Japan bleeds from a century of civil war. Ambitious daimyo clash for supremacy, loyalty is a fragile commodity, and betrayal lurks in every shadow. In this crucible of conflict, the Oda clan, a minor power in Owari province, struggles for survival. We first meet Oda Nobunaga, Nobunaga's father, a shrewd and ambitious leader striving to expand his domain amidst a complex web of alliances and rivalries. Witness his strategic brilliance, his personal sacrifices, and the heavy burden of leadership in an era where a single misstep could mean annihilation. But the heart of this saga lies with his enigmatic son, known in his youth as Kaposhi. From his very birth, an ominous oracle declares him the child who calls the Demon King of the Sixth Heaven, a prophecy that will shadow his life and shape the perceptions of those around him. Was this a curse, or a sign of a preordained, extraordinary destiny? This novel delves into the psychological portrait of young Nobunaga, exploring the origins of his infamous moniker and the events that might have led him to embrace such a fearsome title. Experience the raw, often brutal, realities of feudal Japan through Nobunaga's eyes. Witness his unconventional upbringing, his eccentric Hutsuke behavior that baffled his retainers and family, and the simmering intelligence and ambition that lay beneath his puzzling exterior. Follow his early education in strategy and warfare, his unorthodox methods of training his personal retinue, and his first forays into the deadly game of samurai power. Volume 1 meticulously recreates the atmosphere of 16th-century Japan, from the grandeur of fledgling castles to the intrigue of political maneuvering, the solemnity of Shinto rituals, and the ever-present threat of violence. Encounter a rich cast of historical figures. One thing to note is that at the time, people were considered taboo to call others by their first names, so only their parents were called by them, and in everyday life people were called by their nicknames or official titles. The only time people would call someone by their first name was to insult them. Heira T. Masahide, Nobunaga's loyal guardian and mentor, whose wisdom and ultimate sacrifice leave an indelible mark on the young lord. Lady Doda Guzan, Nobunaga's mother, whose complex relationship with her son is a source of deep emotional turmoil. Lady Oochisama, the devoted wet nurse who provides a rare source of affection and stability in Nobunaga's isolated youth. Oda Nobukatsu, Nobunaga's younger brother, whose rivalry for succession ignites a dangerous internal conflict within the Oda clan. Saito Dosen, the Viper of Mino, the powerful and cunning neighboring warlord, whose relationship with Nobunaga, forged through a political marriage to his daughter, Lady Ono Kicho or no Hitme, becomes a pivotal alliance. Imagawa Yoshimoto, the formidable daimyo of Suruga, whose shadow looms large over Owari, setting the stage for the legendary Battle of Okahazama. A young Matsudaira Motoyasu, later Tokugawa Ieyasu, it should not be forgotten that he was the model for the shogun Toranaga. Still known as Takechiyo when he was a child, he met Nobunaga as a hostage and witnessed how they developed a strong bond amid political instability. Tokichiro later Toyotomi Hideyoshi, the sharp-witted, ambitious youth who finds his way into Nobunaga's service, hinting at the great heights he will later achieve. Nobunaga, Demon King of, is more than just a tale of battles and samurai. It is a deep dive into the cultural, spiritual, and psychological landscape of Sengoku Japan. Explore the significance of Shinto oracles and Buddhist beliefs, the weight of family honor and dynastic succession, and the brutal choices leaders must make in a world where survival is paramount. The narrative masterfully weaves together historical fact with compelling fiction, offering a fresh perspective on Nobunaga's formative years and the intricate web of relationships that shaped him. This volume culminates in the prelude to one of history's most astonishing military upsets, the Battle of Okahazama. Feel the rising tension as Imagawa Yoshimoto marches on Owari with a massive army, and witness Nobunaga, outnumbered and seemingly outmaneuvered, prepare to stake everything on a desperate gamble. If you are a fan of rich historical fiction, intricate samurai politics, stories of legendary warlords, or the epic sweep of feudal Japan, this is a novel you cannot afford to miss. Discover the boy before the Demon King, the fool before the unifier. The legend begins here. The inside story behind its writing. During the Sengoku period in Japan, hero Oda Nobunaga unified the country in one generation from a small government official in Owari, expanded his territory, and took control of the central region. However, despite his many glorious achievements, Nobunaga is a person shrouded in many mysteries. Why was he separated from his parents at an early age? It is well known that the infant Nobunaga had many wet nurses because he would bite her nipples, but why did his biting habits suddenly disappear when Uchi-sama became his wet nurse? Why did Heira T. Masahide, Nobunaga's devoted guardian, commit seppuku? If it was a death of remonstrance, why does Nobunaga's attitude not seem to have changed afterwards? If the reason for the seppuku was that Nobunaga arrogantly ordered Masahide's son Nagamasa to hand over his horses, why was Nagamasa only deprived of his inheritance? The questions are endless. This novel, while faithfully adhering to established historical facts, ventures to introduce a single hypothesis to illuminate these enigmatic aspects of Nobunaga's life. That hypothesis is this: the infant Kaposhi, in a fit of rage from his wet nurse after biting her nipple, was thrown against the floor and died instantly. Startling as it may be, this supposition set off a chain reaction, offering potential solutions to many of the other lingering mysteries surrounding Nobunaga. As I proceeded to write, following this thread, I was suddenly struck by a voice, what I believe to be the voice of Lord Nobunaga himself, praising me. "You have seen through it well." Of course, I recognize that merely hearing such a voice does not make it truth, and to blindly accept it would be rash. So, I asked, is there any proof, any story you can tell, that would confirm you are truly who you say you are? In response, Lord Nobunaga revealed to me what he claimed were the true circumstances behind several crucial events. He talked about how his brother Nobuhiro suddenly became the commander-in-chief at the Battle of Azukazaka, how he won a dangerous direct confrontation with Nobukatsu, how Nobunaga leapt up in response to a report from the fortress at Okahazama and performed the Atsumori dance in the director's production of the Nobunaga Koki, but on the day of the battle he would not have had the time. Tokichiro had no merits at Okahazama. He also talked about how he trampled on Akechi Mitsuhide, who was in charge of entertaining Ieyasu, and how he kicked around like a turtle. And so, I resolved to present these revelations to the world, and leave it to the public to discern their veracity. It is with a firm belief in the voice I heard that I have completed this novel. Whether this story is fiction or non-fiction, I invite you, the reader, to immerse yourself in its narrative and experience its reality for yourself. Judge its truth by the resonance it finds within you. Thank you for watching until the end. The KDP link for the book is in the details.